Hello, good afternoon, happy Sunday to everyone. It is Sunday, September 20th. So tomorrow is officially the first day of fall, and I've got the garden up in my background, a little farm, because if you guys follow me on Facebook, you will see that and also on Instagram as well, I talked about growing my own garlic. So I have been busy at work this morning setting up the garden, getting it prepped, using fertilizer to go ahead and prepare prepare my garden for growing for next season, as well as preparing the herbs as well. So we'll go ahead and get into the market. I've got it on my brain, obviously. Instead of saying the garden, I was saying the market. So let's go ahead and get into it. If you all are new to my channel, please like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications so you get to know when I do my live streams like this one, which I do 6 times a week. I take Saturdays off, right? But I do my live watch list on Sundays at 1:30 and midday market update 12:15 Monday through Friday, or every day that the market is open. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm not seeing anything in the chat, and I did adjust my microphone a little bit, so I just want to make sure you guys can hear me okay as well. Let me put that in the chat. All right, we've got Terry tuning in. Hello, Terry. And don't be shy. If you guys have questions, put them in the chat. All right, let's go. I just learned a new little trick. Super cool. I learned how to use the hotkeys to transition on the keyboard. All right, so first of all, we have the SPY that we are checking out. And awesome, thanks guys. We have the SPY that we're checking out. Now, when we look back, this is a 24-hour chart. This is also a 24-hour chart. Let's make this one a weekly over here so we can have a bigger picture view, right? This is where we were in January, and this was February before we had that crash. Now look at the pattern right here. What do? We pulled back, ripped higher, and then we came down. So we didn't really have a pullback here. It might be that we're pulling back to this level. We might rip higher up here and then drop. We just had the dividend on the SPY ETF as well. It is looking similar on the stochastics, where we're starting to roll down the hill on the stochastics as well. Now, we've had a lot of volume here. If you guys do not know already, I do follow the dark pools. I work in the training pit over at thedarkpools.com and help educate people on how to trade, as well as trading around the dark pool and how to use different price levels, how to use support, resistance, all that sort of good stuff. So come and check us out over at thedarkpools.com. If you're absolutely brand new to trading too, it's a great place to start, somewhere that I wish I'd gone first. But we always have those stories, right? The shoulda, coulda, wouldas. But I'm very happy to be part of it now. And next level of support could be over here, which is where we bounced on Friday. What happened back right after we broke this level? Let's go to our daily chart and back up the daily chart. So as soon as we broke below this level, we came down all the way down here, 324, and then subsequently down even further. It could be a big downturn to come. We might see more consolidation here. We did have a bit of a bounce off of this support area from the past. So are we going to bounce off of that, or are we going to continue on down to 325, even down here, down to 320, maybe even potentially on down to this moving average, 317.89? That is a potential. Let me go ahead. I was helping someone today, so I took, and let's put this over here, apply all the indicators. So they'll be over here on all of our charts. So we just broke below the 50 simple moving average on the daily chart. Next one is down here at 322.05. If you guys do use TradingView and you are looking for a 24-hour candle, then put in 1440 for the total number of minutes, 1440, and it will give you a 24-hour candle. CD Speedy 07, should I be on the stock market as a teen? You know what, CD, you really cannot do any harm by learning about the stock market. You might want to learn more before you just jump in, because the market is always somebody transitioning money between people's hands. If one person is losing, the other person is winning. It's always a transfer of wealth between one party to another. No matter what, there's always somebody on the other side of the trade. So when we start to see something like 1 million shares of a stock being traded in one big bulk lot, we know that it's going to take a lot of other little people, usually the retail traders, that fill up that big order for 1 million shares. I also want to tell you guys, I am going to be doing a giveaway coming up. I did get 2 copies of this book, Day Trading the Quick Start Guide. Let's see, trying to bring it so you guys can see it. It's hard with the little green screen going on. So I will be doing a giveaway. I'm not sure where yet, but check it out and you guys can win a free Day Trading Quick Start Guide. Once I have completely read it, I will go ahead and do a review, and I will put the contest information there as well, so you guys can sign up for it. And it's a pretty good book so far. Back to the market. So definitely start learning, CD Speedy. You can't go wrong. It would be better actually for you to learn about it young. I started learning about it around the breakfast table with my parents. And I was being very curious, but I learned more of the long-term investing, not so much day trading. All right, we do have roughly 9 days here of the SPY in which we were consolidating. We were just range bound. We've finally broken out of that range and we broke below. We also have these other trend lines. This was a resistance area here and one down here as well. And we also have, again, that high back in January that we are testing, and we are now below it. So once we broke below, that next week, poof, that was a doozy, right? And we came down almost to this moving average on the weekly. If we come all the way down there, we're looking at potentially 298 next week, which is kind of crazy, but anything is possible in the market, right? The market is irrational. All right, let's go over, let's do the Sunday list. Sorry guys, I didn't even have my Sunday list up there. I was getting prepped with everything. And I'll close this. I need to grab, where's my watch list? All right, let me grab one of these over here because I have it. And I think I closed it on myself. So I will just go and pull it up again. But we also have Apple and Microsoft, right? So Apple and Microsoft, we saw big volume. Let me pull it back to a daily chart here. 24 hours gives you the pre and post market, and daily will give you just strictly that day. So this day, September 9th, higher than normal volume right at close. Let's pull it over here. Let's put it on a 15-minute chart. And if you guys don't already know, you can go specifically to a particular day here on TradingView, right there. So we'll pull up the 9th, or right over here. And you can see we had pretty high volume. Higher volume the day before, but even higher here. And when I checked it out, I thought, okay, well, we're right here, one of my favorite moving averages. We've closed. Let's see where we go from here. If we're going to continue up or if we're going to go down. Well, sure enough, they were not able to go ahead and stay above this price of 1730. They just kept pulling it down and pulling it down. They bounced it up and then they brought it down more. Now we are in gap fill mode over here. We came down, filled that gap, and then it bounced up a little bit. If we go below here, we might see a further pullback down to this moving average of 98.28. And let me just get that watch list really quickly. Also with Microsoft. So Apple and Microsoft are the top 2 holdings for the SPY and the Qs. Now Microsoft, we'd mentioned before, hey, look at this resistance level. You guys heard me talk about it for a long time. I said, if we break above 217, we're going long, right? We broke up, we had a nice run, 15 points, came back, tested it, and dropped massively down below. We've not been able to stay above this 212 area, and it's just coming down and crashing down. We're now below, well, we almost closed below 200, came down, we were below 200 for a while on Friday. And this area over here, 199.16, if we close below that, watch out. We could be coming down here, 194.89, and then on down to 190.20. Stochastics are showing it is a bit oversold. When we look back at the SPY, it was definitely fairly oversold as well back in January and February, and we still crashed down further. So I was doing some more reading last night all about the crash of 1929, the Spanish flu. I will be releasing a video all about that coming up next week. Not this week coming, but the next week. And it's pretty cool to see, you know, the market crashes when there's not anybody on the other side, right? We were talking about the market's always a transfer of money between one party to the other. Well, what happens when nobody wants to buy that security? You're going to end up with the price dropping and dropping and dropping and dropping until finally it reaches a price at which somebody is happy to buy. If there's a lot of algorithms now that are shut off on the buying mode, that could end up in a scenario where we have retail traders selling a lot of stock, and it's only going to be when those buyers start to take over that creates that bottom for us to go back up. If they turn on the algos to sell, whew, watch out. That could be a real mess. So we will see what's going to happen in the upcoming months. I'm really excited about the video. All right, here are my lists. Here's my list for this upcoming week. LAC, AQB, Workhorse, LOB, PEIX, Apple, Microsoft, CTLT, RCM, H&R Block, and potential swing list. So let's create it over here on the right. If you guys have other ones that you want to check out, let me know as well. We'll throw them on the list after we get through mine. Threw me off changing my microphone today. You guys are so quiet today. What's going on? Is everyone tired? Now, CD Speedy, what do you think of the market so far and what you're learning about the market? All right, so let's get into it. LAC. All right, we'll just put it up over here and make this a big chart. All right, Lithium of Americas. This had a crazy high day of volume on Friday. Ended up closing not right up at the high, but post-market definitely up closer to the high. I would look for a resistance level up here. Actually move it up just a little bit to 1120. And a support level down here of, I'll pull it down to 1020 or 10. Let's just pull it down to that whole dollar, 10. All right. So 10 and 11.20. And I'm going to be filling out the short float and the float, excuse me, short volume and the float, which you guys can see on my Instagram, which is Miss Airplane Jane. All right, so we look back at the daily. I'm actually going to go ahead and put it like this. Keep this here. Link the two together right here so you guys can see it. Oh, we've got the daily right there, and we'll leave this as a 15-minute chart. There we go. All right, so you guys can see on the daily, crazy high volume. If it's able to go ahead and break above, consider that all buying volume stochastics. We might have a bit more of a pullback and then a surge higher from here. AQB, add those on, Mark. All right, AQB. It was on my list obviously before in the past. You guys can see the resistance lines here. I would look for a break above 540, and I'd like to go ahead and see it hold. Oh, I got it over there, grabbing it on the wrong chart. I'd like to see it hold 460. All right. So again, super high volume. We are in a 52-week breakout mode. This is definitely an alpha stock right now while the market is pulling back. Will it continue into Monday? We shall see. So that's why I do prepare the levels one way or the other. The market's really going to decide which direction we're going to go. However, we can see on our daily charts when the when the volume is higher than normal, it can really times be an indication that there's going to be another wave of movement. Now, whether that's going to be up or down, we don't know until the market opens. So if you're prepared either way, then you can trade either way, right? Pull it down here, 30.80. All right, so I'd look for 31.50 break, bring it up here, and 30.80 to the downside. This might pull back further, right? This might pull back further again to the moving averages. We did have that breakout mode that we might see happen with AQB. 30.80 and 31.5. All right, and let's go to Loeb. Live Oak Bank shares. Really interesting, crazy high volume, and banks are not doing that well. I know nothing about the stock. Just looking at the chart, it looks like a potential setup for a next wave up. It came up, pulled back to the averages, and now might be reconsolidating, gaining some steam to go ahead and break out up above. I would look for a breakout above 26.60. Or if it were to break down further below 25.60 over here. All right, also PEIX. See, this was on my list before. Looks like it needs to break that 725 mark. And I would look for support right here at 670. Pull it up just a little bit. It looks like there was massive selling right here. Look at how it created that ceiling right at 708. Looks like there was a lot of people selling right there. It looks like maybe there was a large position after hours. They were trying to get out and then finally got out maybe around $7. So break above 725 for a further continuation to the upside. And then breakdown of 670 for a short potential trade. All right, let's go to Apple. So you guys know I love Apple and Microsoft, watching them, seeing where they're going to go, and seeing how it's going to affect the market too. I used to be a real fan of watching Amazon, and then Apple and Microsoft took over as percentage holdings of the SPY. I've actually got to do an update on SPY and NASDAQ holdings, because you can see if those holdings are reacting, if the major holdings, top 13% of the Qs are pulling back, then likely the entire ETF will be pulling back as well. Okay, looking for a support of 106 down here. And up above, we'll put it up to 108 for Apple. And now Apple does have 17 billion in the float. It's had a lot traded since it had the split back here. You can see. And it just pulled back right from the split. So you might want to keep that in mind when a stock announces a forward split. Whoop, right up to the split date, and then comes right back down to reality. Where were we after that announcement? All right, we were right here. Well, we're right back to where we were. How about Microsoft? Uh-oh. I think I hear an upset daughter. All right, I'll bring it over here, tighten it up a little bit. 206.60. And support, I'm going to put it up here at 197. There were buyers that brought it right back up when it dropped below. So I would like to see it break below 197 with higher than normal volume. Look, we had high volume at the open and at the close. A little bit more on this candlestick right here at 260 cents. So I would look for a support, again, 197, and a resistance of 260 cents. Then we have CTLT. Oh. If you guys know, if anyone's new to me, I do love the 425 EMA on multiple charts for the simple fact that it can act as quite a resistance or support. So I would put 85 as my resistance here and support down here at 83, pull it down just a little bit, 75. And 85. All right. Then we go to RCM, the inverse of Mark's CRM. Right. Okay. Bring it over here. Alrighty. So we've got this area that was resistance, resistance, resistance. Whoop, pop and drop. Came right back up and tested that. So maybe that was actually more selling. I'm going to tighten it actually, because it looks like that might have been late prints from back here in the middle of the day, or even right at open right here. So I would put 1580 and 1615. Let's put it up there. And then H&R Block. H&R Block had a nasty day on Friday. Pulled right back. So I would look at 1420 as support, and let's bring this one right on up, right over here. Bring it down to 1380. Right there. And 1420. All right, now we'll get into potential longer term swings. Just ones to watch. You know, I mentioned Tupperware. If we go back in time, I mentioned Tupperware when it was all the way down here. Down, breaking out at 375. I said maybe it's going to head back up to that $20 mark from before. Look at how it tested up here at the 425, and then it came up even further. So some of these might work out as a potential longer term swing. They're ones that I'm looking at. I like the charts for a potential long swing. Now, how long your time frame, couldn't tell you. Again, here's that 425. See how it came down, broke, and then once it came up above it, it pretty much held up above it. So looking for SOL, that's a fun name, to break above 266. Let's go back 5 years and see what's it look like. You know what? I would even raise this up here, and I would look and I'd say, hey, I want to see it break above 290. Because every time that it broke above 290, look at this area of consolidation right here, or disbursement. It looks more like disbursement because it traded sideways, boom, came up, right back down, sideways. And look at that head and shoulders, actually. Shoulder, head, shoulder, down. Then it came over here, and it broke above the $2 mark. When it did, came up, hit some resistance around 220. And now if we're able to break above this 285, I'm going to go ahead and set an alert on that for me. We might see this continue on up. And it's a semiconductor, right? So semiconductors right now, with the tech industry pulling back. Oh, you know what, Kevin? I just like the chart. That's it. Sometimes technical analysis doesn't necessarily. Tupperware got overly beaten down, and then it just looked like the chart had some consolidation, a good time to buy, an oversold looking chart for it to revalue. So I was trading it based on technicals there, not fundamentals. All right, so WBA, let's bring this to a weekly over here. Excuse me, a daily. We have the weekly over here. So daily, Walgreens, I'm thinking baby boomers. Yeah, maybe not as many baby boomers need to go out, unfortunately, buy drugs in the States because there was some negatives with COVID. There's not as many drug buyers now because unfortunately it hit that demographic. However, this one is another one that's looking beaten down, right? It's looking quite beaten down at the moment. When we go back, we're at a support and resistance level. Maybe if it came all the way down to 32, but that's a pretty nice run. Let's see, where are we now? This is back in February of 2012. This might have a nice run up again. And I believe that Walgreens has a nice dividend. I'm not sure about that, but I gotta mention that to my buddy who loves dividend stocks. Maybe that would be interesting to him. So this is a chart much like Tupperware. I just looked at the chart, Kevin, and I said, hey, this looks like might have a nice move. Salt as well on our daily chart over here. I don't want that. I want the trend line. Nope, I want a trend line, please. There we go. And I'm going to make it brighter for you guys. So we just broke above this downward trend and we're holding above the 50 simple moving average on the daily. When we look back at it, that's right where I drew that trend line starting. This might have a nice upward swing, same scenario. It might be a chart. Let's draw one on the weekly even, up here, down here. So potentially maybe a move on up here, $40 from 14. Just potential moves there based on the chart and where we could be going with higher than normal volume. SGW as well. Oh, let's get rid of these over here. All right, we are on the daily chart hitting the 200 simple moving average, also hitting my awesome 425. If we're able to break above, looking at our weekly chart, we might have a bit of a move up here to 28. If we can really break up above 29, look, we've got some clear skies. We got maybe up to 31, 32. This is another semiconductor. So potential move there, maybe. Seems like it's gone up, a bit of a cup and handle, and potential move to the upside there. Let's look at Salesforce for Mark. Did it move on over? Not yet. There we go. I'm going to put the daily on the right and the 15-minute chart on the left. Okay, so on our daily chart, we've been coming down. We are in a gap, right? Is it going to fill this gap down to the 50 simple moving average? On the 15-minute chart, all of our moving averages, the slower ones are above us. We might see a bounce up to 245. If we can break above 245, next test potentially up here 248. If we can break that 248, even more so, if we can break out of this range. You see that, Mark? Pull it down even over here. We've got all of this. We've been trading sideways, right? Much like the rest of the market. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 trading days, 2 weeks, where we've traded in this range. So if it could potentially break above 254.60 or down below over here, 240.50. So we're still within this box and potentially they're not done. It looks like the moving averages are coming down and it looks like it could potentially fill the gap to the downside down here to 217.50, but we're going sideways at the moment. So a tough trade on CRM at the moment for the past 2 weeks. Datadog, let's check it out. So Datadog came down, look at where we bounced. Knowing that this awesome EMA exists, the fact that it held here and it just came up, it hasn't gone anywhere yet, would lead me to believe that this is going to shoot back up. Just based on this, it wasn't able to close below that. That's my only indicator on it that I'm using. When we check out our daily chart as well over here, we are still above this downward trend. If we wanted to break this pretty steep downward trend, we would need high volume. We have the high volume. We are at the 50 simple moving average. It did not close, the 4 has not crossed over the 8 yet. It's not crossing all the way down yet. So this might have a potential move. I would look for it to break above. Let's head over here. I would look for it to break above 88.50. If all that volume can bring it back above 88.50, or even if it can break above here, 87.25. Let's put an alert there. 87.25. If it can break above 87.25, potential move to the upside. Now remember, when the market is having a consolidation, a pullback, or a correction, there are still going to be alpha stocks that are going to move in the long or upside. So not every single stock is going to end up being a short. Ooh, let's see. And please, please, please remember that if the market is pulling back, you also want to remember that in shorting a stock, theoretically your loss could be unlimited because a stock could go to the moon. Hey Asif, thanks for joining me. If you are long a stock, the most you could potentially ever lose is if it goes to zero. So please remember that if you are shorting a stock, especially if you were to ever short a low float stock. I wouldn't want anyone to get caught in a low float squeeze in this sort of environment and then end up losing the shirts off their backs, which happened with K-Bio, Elfin, all those sorts of stocks. So please, please, please keep that in mind. And I hope you all have an amazing weekend. I'm gonna go and finish up my garden a little bit, go ahead and nurture it, get it prepped for the garlic and the future crops that I plan on growing. Since I think we might be going back into somewhat an orange level lockdown up here in Canada, time to prep for staying at home and becoming a bit more self-sufficient. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you all tomorrow at 12:15. Bye guys.